Okay.
Anyway,
You guys are filming?
yeah,
Yeah.
two super operators.
Okay.
Lee Ranaldo, the second time in Padova.
Yeah.
What about Giotto? I know you went to the Cappella Scolini.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling for those works. I really love that work, and I've been there before, maybe 15 years ago or something, quite a long time ago. And I wanted to go back when
Was
my
there
band.
a system to protect the frescoes already?
The last time I
Yeah,
went.
yeah.
Well, what do you mean by a system?
You have to wait.
Yeah,
for a
yeah. I
certain-
think that room was already there at that time, but I wanted to go back and see them again. And we tried to go when I was here in Padova with the band, like 15 months ago or something. And you can't buy the tickets on the day you want to go. You have to buy them, and we didn't know that, so we didn't get to go. And so this time I made the arrangements so that I could go. And I don't know. It's really interesting to be in those kind of spaces and see that kind of work. You know, I mean, there was a little film before you go in, and they talk about how at the time, you know, you can't realize it now, but at the time it was radical modern art in a way. It was the most modern, up-to-date art of its time.
Experimental in a
Yeah,
way.
and it's, you know, coming out of that Byzantine period, just pre-Renaissance, and still have strange angles in all the architecture he was doing and stuff. But I don't know. There's just something about the you know. I mean, I understand a little bit more this time about the religious aspect of it, but I just like the way the paintings look and the colors and stuff. I think they're really beautiful paintings, and I think, you know, it's an amazing room to stand in, you know.
And what about the occasion the opportunity to play in a place like that? I know you were talking before while playing. You don't have many, you know, spaces like that.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
so
you
what
know,
for an artist, for a musician?
Well, the main thing with this music, trying to play acoustic like this, the only real clear thing I knew is I didn't want to play in clubs, and I didn't want to play for people standing and drinking beers and smoking cigarettes or whatever. I wanted to play with people sitting down, and whenever it works out that the people are sitting, it's always such a cool atmosphere. And to play in, you know, a different place like this, it's like, you know, we all go to clubs, and how many times you go to the same club, it's like, okay, here I am again. But to come someplace special like this, it makes the whole evening have a different kind of presentation, a different kind of vibe, and you know, I like to be able to talk a little bit, even if the language barrier is a kind of a pain in the ass, but you can't really do that in a club setting. So that was the one. So we've been playing in Rome in October. I played in a beautiful church in Monti, and we played in a library in Athens, and, you know, some other places kind of like this in different cities, and that makes it a more of a, you know, first of all, it's a special, it's more inspirational, and it's special for me to play shows like this to begin with, because I'm not going to do this very often, and so I want to make them as special as possible for me and for the audience, you know. So yeah, and like this place is unbelievable. I mean, it's just incredible.
Do you set your guitars in a special way? Open tuning?
Yeah, that's why there are so many, because
for...
they're all in different tunings. Just like I play when I play electric, or when Sonic Youth plays, they're all in special tunings, and there's 5 guitars, and there's probably 7 tunings or something like that. And you know, I'm kind of stuck with that at this point. It would be much easier if I could only have 2 guitars, but I don't. I have to have all these guitars, and it's, you know, I have to live with it. It makes touring a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's, you know, at the same time, I like having all these different instruments around, because that's part of what I love about the guitar.
I quite appreciated the fact that your songs, both of last albums, are quite standard songs in a way, but the use you have of the instrument is not typical for acoustic guitar.
Right.
So is that something you researched, you wanted, or is something just came out?
I think it's just something that came. I mean, it partially comes just because that's my style. That's the way I play. But you know, when I started playing guitar when I was a teenager, 13, 14, I was playing acoustic guitar, and I got very serious about acoustic guitar before I switched to electric guitar. And recently I've just been, I have many acoustic guitars at home, and they're all in different tunings, and they sit around the house, and I just got really fascinated again with the sound of each instrument. Every instrument has its own personality and its own sound, and in a certain way, each instrument has a song or two inside it. Whenever I get a new guitar, I tend to find a new song inside that guitar or something like that. And for a long time with Sonic Youth, we were obsessed about, we had all these electric guitars, and each one had a very specific sound, and we would find the ones that had the right personality for us. And I guess I'm kind of going through something like that with the acoustics now. And I'm not trying to make the music this or that. I'm just picking the instruments up and starting to play. If it comes out sounding more traditional, it's okay. If it comes out sounding a little weirder, that's okay too. I mean, just see what happens. And quite frankly, I'm trying to concentrate on the voice and the words. So especially in this kind of setting, that's really important.
Okay, so apart from music, first thing, your surname sounds Italian. Do you have Italian origins?
Yeah, of course. Benevento.
Benevento.
Yeah, very much in there, San Angelo and Avellino, and in that area down there. And I actually have family now that's in Prato. Some of them will come to Firenze next time when I play there in 2 days. And but my parents were born in the U.S. and 2 of my grandparents were even born in the U.S. So my family's been in the U.S. for a long time, but
third generation.
Yeah, but I think I'm maybe the first generation that loses a little bit of the Italian family vibe with my family. They have a little bit of it, but when I was a kid, it was still very strong. The Sunday dinners with all the aunts and uncles and cousins and big eating food all day, and then the men would drink wine and play bocce and all this kind of stuff. And so I really grew up with that. Yeah. So I grew up with that in a very strong way, and it's very important to me.
What do you know about the situation ongoing at the moment in Italy and Europe because of the mass migration from Africa?
I know some little things about it. People from Africa are coming here, right?
It's quite a big issue.
Yeah, and the people in some places in Europe are trying to stop it, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's they're doing the same things happening in the U.S. in a way with Mexicans and things like that. I don't know what to say about that. I was saying to somebody the other day that I think at this point the world is so small that we have to stop looking at different countries and start thinking about the holistic sense of the world. It's like, I was talking to somebody about how, when you're in an airport these days, everybody travels, everybody's going all over the place. It's not like 50 years ago when it was a very special thing to go once. My mom went once to Italy when she was a little girl. That was the only time she ever came here. But now everybody goes all over the place, and it's like, I don't know, I think the next phase for humans is to start to think about the world in a very holistic sense. Forget about nations, it's all, we're all sharing, we're all breathing the same air, basically, it's that kind of a thing. So, I don't know, but I don't know too much about the specifics of it. I know I've heard a lot about it.
It was just to...
What do you think about it?
I think it's a big issue, that everyone should be free to move from. For a better life, because that's what they
there's for instance, people from Mexico living in the U.S. for 1 or 2 decades sometimes, and there's a certain political party that feels like they should be thrown out, and they're Americans now. They've been 20 years in America. I mean, they're not running back. It's like, I don't know. People have to change their thinking about all that stuff.
In your songs, and also before war, during the concert, you talked about a dystopian future and also utopia, if you can say that, because of Occupy Wall Street, for example. So, is there still space in society, in the modern society, for utopia and for
there's
a better
people
view, or do you think we are going to a dystopian future?
Well, I think that's the big question right now. I think we're in a point of a precipice where it could go either way, and the things that happen right now in the next, I don't know, 40, 50 years can decide that, you know, which way it's going to go. For like our kids growing up, it's going to be more and more fucked up and polluted, or is it, you know, people are going to start to do some different things? And I mean, you know, it's very hard because it's a balance of, you know, a lot of politics is about what's good next year and not 20 years in the future, you know, and it has to be about people looking much more long range at things, and that sometimes means sacrifices in the immediate moment, you know, like paying more for gasoline, right? You know, in the States you can't tell anybody where you need to raise the price of gasoline. It's like people go insane, but it's, you know, so we're at that point. We're at that point where we have to make some heavy decisions to make.
Another theme I spotted among your songs is friendship.
Yeah.
Do you believe a lot in friendship?
I do. I believe a lot in it, and I'm still, you know, I have a small group of very close friends that I've known since I was very young, like 12 or 13 years old, and you know, when you know people from that period, they know you in a way that nobody else can know you, in a sense. And it's, you know, I find it to be very important to, and you know, certain people you have as friends because you can really tell them what's on your mind and open up about, you know, if you're not feeling good or if you're feeling happy or whatever it is. And yeah, I think it's a very valuable thing. I mean, it's one of the, you know, it's one of the things that we have to cherish in life in a way, you know.
And what about your family and your role of father?
Yeah.
How is it being, you know, a big musician with your own family?
Somebody was asking me about that. Well, you know, that's what they know, so it's normal to them. I mean, if you grow up in a family where your father goes to work every day from 9 to 5 and then comes home and has 2 martinis and goes to sleep, that's what you know. And what they know is, you know, sometimes their dad is away for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but then he's home for 2 or 3 months, and sometimes, and you know, my kids get to travel the world, all over the place, so they have a
know there's a world.
Yeah, they have a certain view of the world. They've been to Italy sometimes, and all over Europe and South America and Australia and Japan, and so their sense of the world is based on, in part, what they see that I do. And you know, I mean,
which music do they listen to?
They listen to a lot of stuff. They listen to Kanye. They're into stuff like that, Jay-Z and Kanye. But my 15-year-old son has, you know, been studying guitar, so he's been listening to Neil Young and stuff like that. So they listen to all kinds of things. We all do, you know. I mean, you know, they don't like Taylor Swift, but I like Taylor Swift. So we have Taylor Swift on sometimes in the house.
And what are you listening to at the moment? Or what's the most interesting thing you listen to?
Well,
recently?
you know, it's a good question. Sometimes I'm listening to the music that friends of mine make, like, you know, for instance, this band, Sleater Kinney, just got back together, and they're good friends of mine, and so I've been listening to their record a bit. But I listen to stuff that I feel like is going to help my education of my music that I'm creating. Like, I'm working on a new record, so I'm listening a lot to my music. But for instance, recently I've been listening to Richard and Linda Thompson because I feel like they have something to tell me about the kind of music I want to write. So I'm listening to, you know, young bands around New York. Some of them, you know, like a guy named Steve Gunn and this guy, oh my God, the Solar Motel Band. What's his name? Chris Forsyth and the Solar Motel Band, and you know, just different things from all different periods, you know, string music, I don't know, all kinds of things. You know, I find I listen to stuff that I feel is going to be useful. I've been writing some pieces for other groups, like I wrote a piece for a big string ensemble in Berlin. And so I was listening to a lot of sort of classical type music, and my son is playing Bartok and Sibelius and stuff like that, so I've been listening to things like that. And, you know, all kinds of things, you know. Ethiopian pop is always being played. And
I've been recently to a concert of a Nigerian guitarist called Bambino.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, super cool.
dressed in a Tuareg style.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, recently, I mean, I like to listen to certain jazz things, and I've been playing some Miles and Coltrane for my son because he just started moving from playing classical piano to playing more of a jazz piano. So we've been playing a lot of Thelonious Monk and stuff like that. And I was listening to, you know, a super classic record, A Love Supreme by Coltrane. And I was like, okay, I really want to get inside this record and understand it. I've listened to it so many times, but just kind of had it on and played it. So I've been studying that record, for one thing, studying his late period and just kind of like getting deep inside it and finding out new things about it and stuff like that.
What about electronics? Do you like electronic music?
I like some of it. I mean, I like the last couple things Aphex Twin put out, and you know, like I listened to that most recent record by that guy Panda Bear, and that's pretty cool. And I like some of that stuff. I like some of the far out electronics that's not trying to be like just, you know, techno or something like that. You know, I like the more pure electronic stuff, but you know, I like to listen to all that stuff, and I find that it all comes into play when I'm thinking about music. So.
Last question about music. You see, you play in a place like this.
Yeah.
In Italy we have plenty.
Yeah.
But in the Italian school system, music has a very little space, like 1 hour maybe. To be honest.
Yeah, it's true in the States too,
And,
to a large degree.
Is it the same situation in the USA?
Yeah, you know, it's each school, but lots of schools don't put much emphasis on the arts and you know, on visual arts and on music, and you know, that's a pity in a way.
Because apparently reforms here in Italy are going to, you know, take off still.
Take off more? Really? Yeah, I mean, that's tragic, you know, and I mean, maybe it's a symptom of the current world we live in, where everybody's sort of business oriented and it's all about money and economics, and so people think you need to do math and science, but I mean, you know, I know that in New York, I mean, my group of friends includes a lot of writers and artists, and so they're all very concerned about this and want their kids to go to a school where they get, and first of all, if you grew up in a family like that, like my kids see a lot of art just because we make art and things like that, you know, so so those people of course want more of it, but the other side, this practical side, kind of pushes it down, so you know, it's another one of those problems, you know.
Last two questions. A book you read that recently, because you write too.
Yeah.
So,
I've recently read, I mean, I'm reading all the time. Sometimes I read so many books I can't remember what they are. But I recently, just in the last few months, read these two books I'd wanted to read for a long time by the American writer Joan Didion. She wrote a book called The White Album, and she wrote another book called Slouching to Bethlehem. They're both collections of her. She's like a journalist, so she writes short fiction and stories, and they're kind of centered about California in the 60s and 70s, and the writing is phenomenal. It's absolutely unbelievable, and so I just read both of those. I'm in the middle of the second one actually, but I just was reading those books, and you know, these are books I've had on my shelf to read for like the last 20 years, and I finally, you know, it's cool to finally pull a book like that down and read it, and you know, so I've been reading those, and I read a lot of, you know, music biographies, and I don't know, you know, a lot of things, but those were the two recent books that were just totally knocked me out, like phenomenal writing, phenomenal point of view, and her writing really shaped what they called like the new journalism in America and in the 60s and 70s. Super great stuff.
The last one, when will we see you again here?
I don't know. I'm doing 3 more shows in Italy and then 1 in France that's not like this, and I'm doing an electric guitar poetry reading show at a poetry festival. And then I'm going back, and I'm jumping into my new record. And as soon as the record is done, the band will come out on the road again. But it might not be till the fall or the spring. I don't know how long the record's going to take to get together. I have some ideas to try and make a different kind of record. Maybe some electronic drums or electronics involved, but you know, still my songs, but make it in a different way. And I'm going to make it with this
the dust.
with the dust, and I'm going to make it with this young Spanish producer that worked with us on that acoustic record we made, on the Acoustic Dust record. He's kind of getting known in Spain. His name is Raul Fernandez. He goes by Refri. That's it. His name is Raul Refri. And he made the acoustic record with us, and I became really close friends with him, and I think he could be a cool producer for me. So we're going to start making this new record in a month or so, just him and me in the studio, just building up tracks from demos, and then bring the dust in and see what's going to happen. Very different from the last record.
You recorded the acoustic album in Barcelona.
In Barcelona, yeah, with this guy. And I didn't know him then, but yeah, so it's, you know, it's going to come out of that. And that record was like, the acoustic record wasn't my next record. It was a record of the songs from my 2 records and things like that. Like instead of a live album, we did a studio album, you know, live in the studio. But I don't know, I'm going to see what happens. I'm just building up the songs right now, and I'm talking about collaborating on the lyrics with somebody who's a kind of well-known writer, and I don't want to talk too much about it until it really happens, but you know, I'm kind of interested to do a little bit more collaborative process. The last record, I had all these songs and I showed them to the band, and we practiced for like 2 or 3 months, and then we made the record live, like all jamming and stuff like that. And I think this one's going to be very different, so who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Okay, so good luck for everything.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks. My pleasure.
My pleasure. Because I'm a big fan.
Oh, cool, thanks.